Ladies and gentlemen, there will come a moment in your life when everything you thought you knew about success will collapse before your eyes. The plans won't work, the people you trusted will walk away, and you'll be left staring at yourself in the mirror wondering, what now? That moment isn't failure, it's the beginning. Because life doesn't hand greatness to anyone, it tests you for it. And only those who understand the four unavoidable stages of growth, the ones that break you, shape you, and rebuild you, ever rise to their full potential. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will change the way you see every challenge from this day forward. And ladies and gentlemen, life will test you. It will break you down, it will strip away your comfort, and it will challenge every ounce of belief you've ever had in yourself. But understand this, those moments aren't meant to destroy you. They are the forge in which your future is shaped. There are four unavoidable stages every person must walk through, and it's how you face them that determines whether you live a life of quiet regret or one of unstoppable growth and fulfillment. And the first stage is discomfort. This is where most people turn back, where the majority quit. Because discomfort doesn't feel good, it's the moment when the world stops agreeing with your plans, when life says, let's see if you're serious. It's that job that drains your energy, that relationship that tests your patience, that dream that seems to take forever to become real. And when you're there, your mind starts whispering, maybe this isn't for me. But that's a lie. Discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a signal to expand. Growth doesn't come from comfort, it comes from friction. You don't build strength by sitting still, you build it by lifting resistance. So, when you feel that pressure, when life starts to squeeze you, smile. Because that's proof you're in the game. And most people run from this stage. They look for shortcuts, distractions, or someone to blame. But every person who's ever done something extraordinary had to stand in that fire. The pain you're avoiding is the very process that's building the version of you that can handle your next level. You cannot skip discomfort and still expect transformation. You've got to lean in, breathe through it, and remind yourself that discomfort is temporary, but what it creates is permanent. And the second stage is discovery. Once you stop fighting the discomfort, something incredible happens. You begin to discover what's really inside you. You start hearing that small, powerful voice that's been buried under fear and doubt. This is when you realize your limits weren't real, they were just opinions you accepted. You begin to understand that you are capable of so much more than you've been demonstrating. You discover the power of your mind, the depth of your heart, and the resilience of your spirit. And in this stage, clarity begins to appear. You start to notice patterns, what drains you, what excites you, what aligns with your soul. You start learning that purpose isn't something you stumble upon one day. It's something you uncover through consistent effort, self-reflection, and courage. Discovery is the moment when you stop asking why me and start asking what can I learn. It's when you stop seeing problems as punishments and start seeing them as portals to higher awareness. But let me warn you, discovery is not always comfortable either. Because to discover who you truly are, you've got to let go of who you thought you were supposed to be. You might have to release relationships, habits, or environments that no longer serve your growth, and that can feel lonely. But that loneliness is sacred, it's the space where your true power begins to rise. You are not losing anything real in that process, you're shedding the illusions that kept you small. And then comes the third stage, discipline. This is where the dreamers fade and the doers rise. It's where desire turns into daily action. Discovery gives you vision, but discipline brings it to life. You can't just hope your goals into existence, you must work for them relentlessly. Discipline is doing what must be done, especially when you don't feel like it. It's waking up early when your body says sleep. It's showing up when no one's clapping. It's doing the small, boring, consistent things that don't look glamorous but create results that change lives. And the world belongs to those who can master their emotions, who can lead themselves before leading others. You don't need motivation every day. You need standards. You need to set the bar higher for yourself and refuse to negotiate your commitment. Because the truth is, your future doesn't respond to your feelings, it responds to your discipline. And discipline is the bridge between your current self and your ideal self. Every rep, every hour, every sacrifice compounds. You might not see progress right away, but beneath the surface, something powerful is growing. Each act of discipline rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to change and start becoming the kind of person who naturally follows through. And then, when you've endured discomfort, embraced discovery, and built discipline, you reach the fourth stage, destiny. But here's the secret: destiny isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create. It's not a finish line. It's a state of alignment where your actions, beliefs, and values move in harmony. Destiny is when your external world begins to reflect the strength of your internal world. And this stage doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It comes with peace. It's when you wake up and realize you're living on purpose. You've learned to channel pain into progress, fear into focus, and failure into feedback. You've stopped chasing validation because you've built self-trust, and that's the real reward. Success isn't the money, the applause, or the recognition. It's knowing that you've become someone unshakable. But destiny doesn't mean the challenges stop coming. It means you've developed the wisdom and strength to handle them differently. Life will still test you, but instead of reacting with fear, you respond with power. Instead of asking for life to get easier, you've become stronger. That's when success becomes inevitable because your identity is rooted in growth. And you see, these four stages aren't separate events. They're a cycle. Every time you reach a new level, you'll meet discomfort again, you'll rediscover yourself again, you'll rebuild discipline again, and you'll refine your destiny again. That's the beauty of life. It's never about arriving, it's about evolving, and the people who thrive are the ones who stop resisting the process. They understand that every breakdown carries a breakthrough, that every obstacle hides an opportunity. You are not being punished by your challenges, you are being prepared. The universe will never give you a test you're not capable of passing, but it will give you lessons until you prove you've learned them. And so, when life feels heavy, when it feels like everything is falling apart, remember, it's not falling apart, it's falling into place. That discomfort you feel is the sign that something powerful is being born within you. That discovery you're making about yourself is not random. It's your soul remembering its strength. That discipline you're building day after day is sculpting your future, and that destiny waiting for you, it's already yours if you have the courage to keep walking through the stages. And you are not here by accident. You are here to grow, to rise, to expand beyond anything you've ever known. And growth will never be convenient, but it will always be worth it. So embrace the discomfort, dive into discovery, commit to discipline, and live your destiny, because the world doesn't need another person who plays it safe. It needs someone willing to become unstoppable. And that someone can be you, if you decide right now to never settle for anything less than who you were meant to be. And when you decide to never settle, something extraordinary begins to happen inside you. You stop seeing obstacles as the enemy and start viewing them as invitations. Every challenge becomes a call to rise higher, to dig deeper, to summon parts of yourself you didn't even know existed. Because every person you admire, every great success story, every individual who changed their world, all of them walked through these same four stages. The difference wasn't that they had fewer problems or more luck. The difference was they refused to stop in the middle of their process. And when the storms came, they didn't run for shelter, they learned how to dance in the rain. They didn't wait for the perfect time. because they understood that perfection is an illusion and action creates clarity. The truth is, most people never reach their destiny because they get stuck between discomfort and discovery. They feel the pain of growth and convince themselves it's a sign to quit. But pain is not punishment, it's preparation. It's the universe asking, are you willing to earn the life you say you want? And you cannot grow stronger without resistance. You cannot build resilience without being tested. You cannot claim mastery without walking through moments of doubt. That's how life shapes you. Every setback you've ever faced wasn't there to block your path. It was there to build your power. The pain you feel today is proof that you're transforming. You're not falling behind. You're being refined. And there will be days when you'll question everything. You'll look around and wonder why it seems easier for everyone else. You'll see people celebrating their wins and compare them to your silent battles. But what you don't see is the discipline behind their doors, the tears they wiped in the dark, the years they spent being misunderstood. Everyone who rises goes through a private struggle that no one claps for. That's the cost of greatness, doing the work when nobody's watching. And you see, your future is not created in the spotlight. It's created in the quiet hours when you choose to push one more time, to study one more page, to make one more call, to give one more ounce of effort. Success is built in silence and revealed in time. The key is to keep moving forward even when it feels like you're standing still. Because progress doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it's hidden in the small choices. The decision to keep a promise to yourself, to show up with integrity, to give your best even when no one notices. And the most powerful people are not those who never doubt. They're the ones who act despite their doubt. They've learned to walk hand in hand with fear. Fear never goes away, it just changes form, but courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more. And when you choose growth over comfort, purpose over excuses, and discipline over distraction, you begin to step into a version of yourself that is unstoppable. And there's a shift that happens when you stop waiting for motivation and start living by commitment. Motivation is a spark, it comes and goes. Commitment is the fire that burns even when the world goes dark. When you build your life on commitment, you no longer need someone to push you. You become self-driven. You become the kind of person who follows through because your word means something. You become the kind of person who no longer needs permission to win. And here's something powerful: when you live in alignment with these 4 stages, you begin to influence others without even trying. Your energy becomes contagious. People feel your certainty, your groundedness, your power. You stop talking about success and start embodying it. And that's when life starts to mirror your growth back to you. Opportunities begin to show up. The right people cross your path. Doors that were once closed begin to open, not because you got lucky, but because you became the kind of person who attracts those things naturally. But this doesn't happen overnight. Growth demands patience. You must be willing to plant seeds without immediately seeing fruit. You must trust the process when there's no applause. You must keep believing when the results haven't yet caught up with your effort. Because the moment you plant a seed is not the same moment you see the harvest, but every action you take is a deposit into your destiny. And some days will feel heavy. You'll feel like you're climbing a mountain with no end in sight, but every step you take strengthens your legs. Every setback strengthens your resolve. Every disappointment sharpens your focus. Life is not testing your strength, it's revealing it. The moment you decide to stop running from the process, you start to realize that everything you need is already inside you. And you've survived every hard day so far. You've endured pain that once felt unbearable. You've risen from moments you thought would break you. That means you already have evidence of your resilience. You don't need more resources. You need to access your inner resourcefulness. That's where your power lies, and you don't grow by wishing life were easier. You grow by becoming stronger, wiser, more adaptable. You grow when you stop waiting for someone to save you and decide to take full ownership of your life. Ownership changes everything. When you take responsibility, not blame, but responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start being a creator of destiny. And every master was once a beginner. Every expert was once a student. Every leader was once lost. You are not behind. You are becoming, and the becoming never stops. Life isn't asking for perfection. It's asking for progress. It's asking you to show up one more time, to give one more effort, to believe one more day. Because sometimes that one extra moment is what separates success from surrender. And you will meet people who doubt you, who project their limitations onto you. Don't let their fear become your ceiling. What they call impossible is only a reflection of what they haven't done. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You need to believe in you. The world tends to follow those who already lead themselves. And when you begin to embody discipline, you'll notice something else. You stop craving validation. You stop performing for approval. You start living for impact. That's when true fulfillment begins, because success without fulfillment is empty, but growth with purpose feels like freedom. And as you move through life, remember, discomfort will always reappear when you're leveling up. Every time you step into a new arena, you'll face new resistance, but this time you'll recognize it. You'll say, I've been here before, this is just the next test. And instead of shrinking, you'll smile, because you've learned that resistance means you're expanding again, and discovery will deepen. You'll keep learning more about who you are and what you're capable of. You'll peel back layers of limitation you didn't even know existed. You'll discover that purpose isn't something you chase, it's something you live. It's not found in the future, it's expressed in the choices you make today, and discipline will evolve too. It won't feel like punishment anymore, it will feel like power. You'll start craving the feeling of showing up, of keeping promises to yourself. You'll realize that structure doesn't limit you, it liberates you. Because freedom without structure leads to chaos, but structure aligned with purpose leads to unstoppable momentum. And destiny, your destiny, will continue to unfold in ways you couldn't have planned, because when you grow, life expands to match you. The world reflects your inner evolution. Suddenly, the people you meet, the chances you get, the results you see, all of it starts aligning with the vibration of your growth. You'll look back and realize that every painful stage, every uncomfortable step, every lonely night was leading you here, to this moment of strength, clarity, and purpose. And you'll start to notice that the very things you once thought were breaking you were actually building you. Every closed door redirected you toward a better one. Every loss created space for something greater. Every challenge sharpened your character so that when success arrived, you could handle it with grace. And that's the beauty of these stages. They never really end. Life is a constant cycle of becoming, breaking, and rebuilding. Every season invites you to evolve again, to expand again, to step closer to your highest potential. The secret is not to resist the cycle, but to embrace it fully. Because when you stop running from life and start partnering with it, you move from surviving to thriving. And every breath you take, every decision you make, every small act of courage adds up. You're not just living, you're sculpting yourself into the person you were meant to be. And when you look back years from now, you'll realize that the pain had purpose, the struggle had meaning, and the journey was never about reaching a destination. It was about becoming the person capable of creating one. And as you keep becoming that person, you start to understand something profound, that life was never against you. It was always shaping you. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment had a hidden intention behind it. Life wasn't punishing you. It was preparing you for a level of greatness that demanded more strength, more patience, and more wisdom than you had before. You start to see that the pain wasn't random, it was a teacher. It was chiseling away at everything that wasn't aligned with your true self. It was demanding your growth, because real success doesn't come to the person who wants it. It comes to the person who becomes ready for it. And when you reach that awareness, you no longer fear the storms, you start to welcome them. You know that storms don't destroy the strongest trees, they reveal them. They test their roots, their foundation, their endurance. And in the same way, the storms in your life reveal who you truly are. They expose your character, your faith, your hunger. And when you stop hiding from them, when you face them with courage, something miraculous happens. You realize you can handle more than you ever imagined. And you begin to move differently. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop begging for things to get easier and start praying to get stronger. Because you've seen what happens when you push through, how you evolve, how you expand, how you transform. You understand that growth is not always loud. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it's just you alone in your thoughts, battling the doubts in your head and choosing to believe in yourself anyway. And that's where true power is built. In those quiet moments when no one's watching, when there's no applause, when it's just you versus you. That's when character is forged. That's when destiny is written. The greatest victories aren't always visible to the world. They happen in the unseen places of your life. Inside your discipline, inside your resilience, inside your heart. And every day you have a choice to rise or to repeat. You can keep reliving the same patterns, telling yourself the same stories, or you can decide that today is the day you take command. The day you stop letting your past dictate your future. The day you stop apologizing for your dreams and start acting like they were meant for you. Because they are. The dreams in your heart are not accidents, they're invitations. Invitations from the universe asking you to grow into the person who can fulfill them. But to accept that invitation, you must release your old identity. You cannot become your future self while clinging to the habits, excuses, and fears of your past. You must be willing to let go, to burn the bridges to your comfort zone and walk into uncertainty with faith. Because faith isn't believing everything will go perfectly. It's knowing that whatever happens, you'll handle it. And when you move with that kind of conviction, doors begin to open. People start to feel your energy before you even speak. You carry yourself differently, not because you think you're better, but because you finally understand your worth. You no longer chase opportunities, you attract them. You no longer beg for validation, you embody confidence. That's what happens when you stop waiting for permission and start walking in purpose. And purpose gives you power. It gives you clarity when life feels chaotic. It gives you strength when everything seems uncertain. Purpose doesn't eliminate problems, it gives meaning to them. When you know why you're doing something, you can endure almost anyhow. That's why those who live with purpose don't crumble under pressure. They rise through it. But purpose requires alignment. It requires honesty. It asks you to stop pretending and start living authentically. You can't live your purpose while hiding behind fear of judgment or trying to please everyone else. You've got to be willing to stand alone if it means standing in truth. Because authenticity always attracts abundance. When you show up as the real you, unapologetically and consistently, the world responds with opportunities that match your frequency. And every stage of your life is training you for the next. Every challenge, every season, every failure carries a lesson. There's no wasted experience if you choose to learn from it. Maybe that job that didn't work out taught you perseverance. Maybe that relationship that ended taught you self-worth. Maybe that failure that stung taught you humility and hunger. Everything contributes to your evolution if you're willing to see the gift inside the struggle. And the truth is, there are no shortcuts. You can't rush your process, you can't skip your seasons, you can't demand harvest in a field where you haven't planted. You have to respect the rhythm of growth. Just as winter prepares the soil for spring, your challenges are preparing your character for opportunity. What feels like delay is often divine timing. The universe is aligning circumstances in your favor, but only when you're aligned within yourself. And so keep doing the work. Keep showing up even when it's hard. Keep trusting the vision even when it's blurry. Every repetition builds momentum. Every disciplined act compounds. You may not see the results right now, but one day you'll look back and realize that all those small, quiet victories added up to something extraordinary. And it's easy to stay disciplined when things are going well. The real test comes when everything falls apart. That's when you discover whether your commitment was conditional or unconditional. Anyone can be confident when life is easy, but true mastery is remaining centered when life gets chaotic. That's where your emotional muscles are built. That's where the unstoppable version of you emerges. And you are not the same person you were a year ago or even a month ago. You've changed, you've learned, you've grown, you've overcome things that once terrified you. Give yourself credit for that. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you're far from where you started. And every step forward, no matter how small, is proof of your evolution, and you'll notice that the more you grow, the less you need to prove. The louder your peace becomes, the quieter your ego gets. You start to measure success differently, not by what you have, but by who you've become. You start realizing that the real reward isn't the external achievements, it's the internal transformation. It's knowing that you can trust yourself. It's knowing that you can rely on your strength, your discipline, your vision. And that's when life begins to mirror that energy back to you. People start to sense your stability. Opportunities start to find you, not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. You've become magnetic to what matches your frequency. The chaos that once triggered you no longer has power because you've learned that peace is not found, it's built. And as you move through these stages, you begin to fall in love with the process itself. You stop craving the finish line because you realize there isn't one. Every achievement simply opens the door to a higher level of responsibility, a new level of growth. The goal stops being getting there, decision creates energy becoming more. And that's the ultimate shift, when you realize that success is not a destination but a vibration. It's a way of being. It's waking up each day with gratitude, with hunger, with purpose. It's facing the day knowing that no matter what happens, you will rise. It's trusting that every challenge has a reason, every moment has meaning, and every step is leading you towards something greater than you can currently see. And you stop waiting for motivation because you've built momentum. You stop seeking inspiration because you've become the source of it. You stop asking for signs because you've turned into one. Your life starts speaking louder than your words. Your energy becomes your message. Your consistency becomes your legacy, and still the journey continues. Each new level brings new challenges that refine you even more deeply. You'll encounter moments where it feels like you're starting over, but you're not. You're starting higher. You're entering a new stage with more wisdom, more strength, more resilience. What once broke you now builds you. What once scared you now excites you. That's how you know you're growing. And every trial, every test, every tear has shaped you into someone capable of leading, inspiring, and creating change. You are the proof that growth is possible. You are the living example that discomfort, discovery, discipline, and destiny are not abstract ideas. They're the blueprint of human evolution. And every time you embrace the cycle, you become more powerful, more grounded, more unstoppable than you were before. And the more powerful you become, the more you start to see how everything in life is connected. Every person who crossed your path, every challenge you endured, every failure that humbled you, every success that lifted you, it was all working together to shape you into the person you were destined to become. You begin to recognize that nothing was wasted, not even the pain, especially not the pain. Because pain, when embraced, becomes wisdom, and wisdom turns into strength, and strength becomes the foundation upon which everything great is built. And you start to live differently. You no longer chase everything that glitters because you've learned that not all that shines is gold. You start to value peace over popularity, progress over perfection, alignment over approval. You realize that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Because fulfillment isn't found in what you accumulate, it's found in who you become through the process. You stop trying to impress people and start focusing on making an impact. You stop needing to be seen and start needing to be effective. And this shift changes everything. It changes the way you wake up in the morning, the way you treat others, the way you talk to yourself. You stop seeing obstacles as interruptions and start viewing them as instructions. Life is always communicating with you. It's always guiding you, shaping you, redirecting you. And when you start to trust that guidance, you stop living in fear of the unknown. You realize that the unknown isn't something to avoid. It's where all possibility lies. The unknown is where miracles happen, and the truth is no one escapes the journey, no one skips the process. Everyone must face discomfort, rediscover who they are, master discipline, and create their destiny. But those who rise are the ones who choose to face it consciously. They decide that every stage is a privilege, not a punishment. They understand that life is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be meaningful. And meaning is born in the moments when you refuse to quit, when you refuse to settle, when you choose to stand tall even when everything around you feels uncertain. And you start realizing that growth isn't glamorous. It's not about motivational quotes or temporary inspiration. It's gritty, it's messy, it's filled with days when you doubt yourself, when you question your path, when you wonder if you're even making progress. But that's exactly when you have to dig deep and remember why you started. You didn't start this journey because it was easy. You started because you knew there was more to you. More strength, more potential, more life waiting to be lived. And when you keep going through those moments, when you refuse to bow to your fears, life begins to reward you in unexpected ways. Opportunities begin to flow not because you're chasing them, but because you've become aligned with the energy of growth. You're no longer forcing things to happen. You're allowing them to unfold. You've built momentum, and momentum doesn't stop overnight. Once you've cultivated that inner power, the world around you starts to respond to it. And people will start noticing the change, but they won't understand it. They'll ask what happened to you, why you seem different, why your presence feels stronger. And you'll know it's because you've been doing the invisible work. You've been growing in silence. You've been mastering yourself. You've been building from the inside out. The world often celebrates what it can see, but true transformation happens long before it becomes visible. It happens in your mindset, in your discipline, in your decisions when no one's watching. And the deeper you go into this process, the more you understand that self-mastery is the ultimate freedom. Because once you learn to lead yourself, no external force can control you. You're no longer driven by fear, by validation, by the opinions of others. You move from reaction to creation. You stop waiting for things to change and start becoming the change. That's when you start shaping your reality intentionally, not accidentally, and there's a peace that comes with that. A grounded confidence that doesn't depend on circumstances. You no longer ride the emotional roller coaster of wins and losses because you've built stability inside yourself. You've learned that success is not a single event. It's a lifestyle of persistence, learning, and adaptation. You stop fighting against what happens and start working with it. You begin to understand that life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. And then you begin to notice something even deeper. You realize that the true measure of your growth isn't how far you've gone, but how much more love and compassion you carry within you. Because as you evolve, you stop judging others for where they are. You recognize that everyone is fighting a battle you cannot see, walking through their own stages of discomfort, discovery, discipline, and destiny. You start lifting others instead of competing with them. You start inspiring instead of impressing. You start giving instead of grasping, and that's when life begins to overflow. Because the secret to receiving more is giving more, not from scarcity but from abundance. The more you give of your energy, your time, your wisdom, your compassion, the more life gives back to you. Not because it owes you, but because you're operating in alignment with the flow of growth. You've become a channel through which good things move, not just for yourself, but for others. And that's when your purpose becomes bigger than your personal goals. And you begin to understand that your journey was never just about you. Your struggles, your breakthroughs, your transformation, they were all meant to equip you to help someone else. Your pain gives you empathy. Your challenges give you perspective. Your victories give you credibility. You become a walking reminder that it's possible to rise from anything. And when others see that, when they feel your authenticity, they're inspired to rise too. And every time you push through fear, every time you break through a limitation, you give silent permission to others to do the same. You become the evidence that change is possible. That's how leaders are born, not by position or title, but by example. Leadership is influence, and influence begins with alignment. When your thoughts, words, and actions are congruent, people feel it. They're drawn to it. Because in a world full of noise and confusion, authenticity is magnetic. And you start realizing that the same energy you used to waste on worry can be redirected into creation. The same energy you spent on regret can be transformed into gratitude. The same energy you poured into fear can be turned into faith. And when you master that shift, you become unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you've learned how to turn everything into fuel. And every experience, no matter how painful, becomes a lesson that refines you. Every challenge becomes a mirror reflecting where you still need to grow. Every failure becomes feedback guiding you toward a higher version of yourself. You no longer run from challenges, you run toward them. Because you've learned that the only way out is through, and the only way to master life is to keep evolving. And there comes a moment in this journey when you look back and realize how far you've come. The things that used to scare you no longer hold power. The patterns that once controlled you no longer define you. You've shed layers of limitation and stepped into a new level of consciousness. You see the world differently, not through fear but through purpose, not through scarcity but through abundance. You realize that the life you once dreamed of isn't somewhere out there. It's being created through who you're becoming right now. And through it all, you learn the most important truth of all. You are the creator of your experience. You always have been. The world will reflect whatever story you choose to tell. When you focus on limitations, you find them everywhere. When you focus on possibility, the universe conspires to show it to you. You are not a passenger in life. You are the driver. You are not the result of your past. You are the author of your next chapter. And every thought, every belief, every decision shapes your reality. And when you finally understand that, you stop waiting for things to change. You become the change. You stop living from fear. You live from faith. You stop surviving. You start thriving. Because life isn't about avoiding the storms. It's about learning how to dance in the rain, to stand tall in the wind, and to keep walking forward even when you can't see the summit. And you realize that the 4 stages of life, discomfort, discovery, discipline, and destiny, aren't just phases you pass through. They are the rhythm of human evolution. They repeat at every level, calling you to rise again, to grow again, to become more again. And every time you answer that call, you expand not only your life but the lives of everyone you touch.